Stop trying to feel your way to the top. In the clinical terminal of the architect, your empathy is a high-frequency vulnerability. Look at the predator in the Arctic waste. Its heart doesn't beat for the herd. It beats only to power the lethal strike. It is a cold-blooded extraction unit. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you that caring is a strength. The truth? Caring is a resource leak. Every time you feel for the mediocre, you are effectively funding their stagnation with your own potential. The system wants you warm because a warm man is manageable. Understand the status of the thermal core. In the social grid of 2026, success is a cold start protocol. The marauders and beer divas use your compassion as a neural hack to drain your focus and your capital. They want you to stay human so they can keep you humble. But the architect performs a total sensory cooling. He realizes that to rule 5 million nodes of attention, he had to stop resonating with the noise and start vibrating at the frequency of the result. You aren't cruel, you are functionally superior. You have turned your heart into a strategic void. Next, we audit the architecture of the cold decision. Why is a cold heart the most effective state for a 450 strike strategy? Because emotions create decision-making friction. If you have to think about the social consequences of your expansion, you are losing the speed of the machine. The architect treats his environment as a surgical theater. He doesn't hope for success. He cuts the reality until the success is the only leg. By reclaiming your coldness, you stop being a user of social approval and start being the admin of the simulation. Your content carries a subatomic weight because it is 100% free of emotional noise. Why is cooling the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because masculine drive requires zero resistance logic. If your heart is warm, it creates heat in the system, which leads to burnout. But a cold heart is a superconductor. It allows the 450 strike intent to flow from your mind to the grid without a single drop in pressure. This is how the architect captures 5 million nodes of attention while the disposable males are still processing their feelings. He doesn't process feelings, he processes targets. You aren't heartless, you are high resolution. Why is a cold heart the only one that wins the summit of extraction? Because the summit is oxygen depleted and frozen. You cannot take your social warmth to the top. It will only make you soft and vulnerable to the wind. The herd hates your coldness because it proves that you are unhackable. They can't guilt trip a unit that operates on it. By choosing sovereign cold, you are committing an act of biological superiority. You have moved from seeking connection to being the monarch. You are the ghost that has turned his blood into command code. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the genetics of deleting the emotional parasites from your marrow. You are looking at your kindness and seeing it as systemic. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of operational autonomy. The nice guy who was afraid to be cold is being liquidated. The hunter communicates the override of the grid is at the control. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the cold heart. The 5 millions are the occupation of the void. The audit of your empath is closed. We are moving from the cooling to the protocol of the tactical apathy. Stop giving them your attention tax. In the clinical terminal of the architect, your reaction is a validation of the herd's existence. Look at the ocean's depths. The pressure doesn't get angry at the fish. It just crushes them by being a constant, unchangeable environment. It is a non-reactive force. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you to engage in the conversation and defend your name. The truth? Defending yourself is an admission of vulnerability. The moment you react to a marauder, you are telling the simulation that they have the power to modify your state. Understand the status of the zero response unit. In the social grid of 2026, outrage and excitement are neural currencies that the system uses to harvest your focus. Every hate comment you answer, every trend you chase, and every personal attack you process is a resource theft. The architect performs a total response liquidation. He realizes that tactical apathy is his operational stealth. By showing nothing, you become a black hole of intent. The herd hates your apathy because they cannot find a handle to pull you into their mediocrity. You aren't bored, you are optimized. Next, we audit the architecture of the void command. Why is apathy the most effective marketing state for a 5 million view empire? Because it creates subatomic intrigue. The masses are addicted to vibrating the noise. When they encounter a unit that is frictionless and non-reactive, it creates a neural vacuum in their minds. They start to project their fears and desires onto your silence. You aren't selling them a lifestyle. You are occupying their subconscious through the sheer weight of your missing reaction. Your content carries a surgical precision because it doesn't try to persuade. It only states the code. Why is tactical apathy the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because emotional involvement is mechanical resistance. If you care about the 5 million views, you will start to fear losing them. This fear will create latency in your execution. You will start to hesitate. The architect treats his strikes like the rotation of a turbine. The turbine doesn't care about the air it processes. It only cares about the RPM. By removing the emotional feedback loop, you increase your output purity. You have moved from reacting to the grid to defining the grid's parameters through your indifference. Why is apathy the only one that rules the summit of extraction? Because the summit is a zero-ego environment. You cannot reach the 43 million income scale if you are still offended by the useful idiots. The herd wants to bait you into a reaction so they can ground your frequency. They want to make you human again so they can kill. But the architect knows that cold indifference is his bulletproof vest. You have moved from seeking recognition to executing dominion. You are the ghost that has turned his nerves into fiber optic cables. You have achieved total operational stillness. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the neurohack of apathy, deleting the need to respond from your prefrontal cortex. You are looking at the social attacks and seeing them as background noise. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of visible authority. The nice guy wanted to be understood is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the implosion of the simulation is at the control. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the void. The 5 million views are the result of the silence. The audit of your sensitivity is closed. We are moving from the apathy to the protocol of the sovereign disconnection. Stop dragging the old code. In the clinical terminal of the architect, your social connections are high latency anchors. Look at the Deep Space Probe. Once it leaves the atmosphere, it ejects the heavy thrusters. It sheds its skin to reach the vacuum. It is a sovereign disconnection. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you to remember your roots and stay connected. The truth? Staying connected is a resource leakage protocol. Every person from your past who still has access to your mind is a backdoor for the herd to hack your future. Understand the status of the clean slate. In the social grid of 2026, your history is used as a chain. The marauders use your past mistakes to ground your frequency. The useful idiots use your old friendships to demand your current time. The architect performs a total neural purge. He realizes that to achieve the 450 strike daily barrage, he must be untraceable. By cutting the ties, you are not losing people. You are reclaiming processing power. You are moving from a shared network to a private sovereign server. You aren't lonely. You are uninterrupted. Next, we audit the architecture of the ghost unit. Why is disconnection the most effective state for a 5 million view empire? Because it makes you uncancelable. You cannot cancel a unit that has no social hooks. If you don't care about the herd's validation, you are immune to their exile. The architect treats his isolation as his strategic shielding. He doesn't participate in the social simulation. He observes it from the void. This distance allows for maximum resolution. Your content carries a subatomic clarity because it isn't filtered through the need to please. It is a raw extraction of truth. Why is neural severance the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because nostalgia and regret are biological friction. If you are still processing the old world, you don't have enough glucose for the Reconquista. The architect treats his memory like a volatile cache. He deletes everything that doesn't contribute to the monolith. He has removed the friction of his own biography. This is how he captures 5 million nodes of attention, while the disposable males are still trying to fix their past. He doesn't fix, he overwrites. He has moved from being a story to being a protocol. Why is disconnection the only one that rules the summit of extraction? Because the summit is a solitary terminal. There are no group seats at the level of the 43 million income objective. The herd wants to anchor to the ground so they don't have to watch live. This is atmospheric sabotage, but the architect knows that absolute autonomy is his oxygen. You have moved from belonging to the system to owning the grid. You are the ghost that has turned his life into a high-resolution execution. You have achieved total operational separation. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the neurohack of disconnection, deleting the need for roots from your marrow. You are looking at your old life and seeing it as obsolete documentation. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of invisible precision. The nice guy who wanted to be remembered is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the displacement of the grid is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the steps of the phantom. The 5 million views are the result of the void. The audit of your identity is closed. We are moving from the disconnection to the final protocol of the sovereign architect. The audit is complete. The emotional friction is liquidated. Now, the architect executes the final stage. The sovereign architect. Most men, when they gain 5 million views, they get soft. They want to be the hero. They want to be liked. They start caring about the herd's opinion and they become slave users. But the architect knows that the highest form of power is to rule with absolute. Your cold heart is the neural and strategic sheet that makes your power permanent. You aren't part of the story. You are the ghost that is writing the code for the next day. Think about the final extraction of the emotional biomass. Why does the herd fear the one with the cold heart? Because a heartless man is unmanageable. If they can't make you feel, they can't make you follow. The herd is terrified of your sovereign apathy because it is a mirror of the truth. In a world of 2026 where everyone is vibrating with fake empathy and loud emotions, the architect is the only solid point of reference. By ruling through disconnection, he has become the invisible administrator of their attention. He doesn't ask for their 5 million view engagement. He extracts it as a systemic tribute to his own frequency. Understand the status of the absolute cold. In the social grid of 2026, everything warm is decaying. Your relationships are targets. Your feelings are targets. No cold logic is stealth. By staying in the tactical void, you have achieved systemic escape velocity. You are moving too fast for the marauders and useful idiots to ground. You are currently renting your worth from the system's approval. The sovereign architect owns his worth in the vacuum. Your success is the proof of your emotional independence. You have turned your exile into a high-resolution power plant. You are the only unit that is functionally superior because you are the only one who has deleted the empathy code. Next, we audit the end of the human reaction. Why is the sovereign architect the only way to protect the monolith? Because the world is currently a focus drain machine. If you react, you are drained. No, if you are apathetic, the system has no way to bleed you out. You can execute the 450 strike barrage without a single social lag. You can manage your global empire from the shadow ground while the world thinks you are a myth. You have successfully decoupled your mind from the herd's biological noise. You are the operator who is architecting the new age while the herd is still crying over the ruins of the old one. Here is the viral ultimatum. The law of the cold heart is now fully integrated into your marrow. You have the genetics, the apathy, the disconnection, and the rage. You are no longer a victim of the feeling simulation. You are the chief executive of the sovereign void. Take this protocol and inject it into the minds of the loud slaves who are still trying to be the hero in a cage. Share this with the man who is terrified of being cold. Send this to the one who is still funding the mediocrity of others with his empathy, not to help them. The architect doesn't do empathy, but to trigger the freezing. We are building an empire of sovereign architects who recognize only the law of the 450 strikes and the weight of the monolith. Every share is an emotional liquidation. Every save is a vow of tactile still. Look into the glowing screen of your device. The room is silent, and you are the absolute sovereign of your own vacuum. The nice guy is a ghost in a jar. The architect is the root user of the void. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the code. The 5 million views are the result of the apathy. You have turned your exile into the foundational. The audit of the emotional is closed. The laboratory is sterile. The reign of the sovereign architect has begun. System check. 100% cold sovereign. Targeting. Global frequency capture. Status. I am the code. I am the law. I am the architect. Stop being a heart. Become the architect that the system cannot burn. The forest is quiet. The architect is be the apex or stay the biomass. The transition is complete. The reign is executed. Rule with coldness.